A group of 150 students, teachers, and parents from Winnipeg have started a journey. Their journey will eventually take them to a small fishing village called Mburo in Senegal, Africa. They'll reach their destination in the year the students graduate, and the year their inspiring teacher retires, 2007. Each step this group takes is equally as important as the next, for this journey is as much about the process of getting there as the actual trip. They call themselves Students Without Borders. They are raising money to assist Mburo jumpstart their economy. They're educating themselves and others about Africa, but most important, they are developing individual relationships with residents of the community and discovering a few things about themselves along the way. This is all because of one teacher's dream to make a difference in the lives of her kids and a community thousands of miles away.
When I first heard about it, it really made me feel like this is my chance to do something important. Like this is my chance to learn so much and be able to help people out.
I joined Africa because it was a challenge and because it was a way of taking our school especially the social studies department, in a direction where we could probably, help other people in this world.
It's a project of two folds. There's two groups that we're concerned with, our students and the Africa.
Now that we have this big group of people, everyone can give something to the group, so it makes a big difference.
Young Canadians realize that the world has changed and they want to be part of it. They just need to find a way of making that difference.
My career in teaching started 26 years ago in Souris, Manitoba, and that's where I learned the love of teaching.
Où ce que vous allez voir toutes sortes de personnes importantes à Ottawa.
A teacher was retiring. I had met her in Hartney, Manitoba, Alice Little, and she was teaching here at this brand new school that was opening. She told me about this job opening because she was retiring, and I came here 15, 16 years ago. I taught English here for 10 years and loved doing it, but felt a need to get involved more into the lives, people's lives, and to contribute more directly to that than just the educational part. So I went into student services. And in student services, we advocate for students. That's our job. Whatever they need, whatever it takes, to keep the kids safe and sound, that's what we do. So I was getting a brand new group of kids. Didn't know who they were. It was my last group of kids. I'm going to be retiring when they graduate. So it was a kind of a last opportunity to do something where you've always promised yourself to do, but you never found the time to do. I went to a lecture at the University of Manitoba, and it was Stephen Lewis that was speaking. And I remember sitting in the audience and hearing him talk about that there were 3 generations in Africa. And the children, the adults, and the seniors, the elders. The adults were hit with AIDS, epidemic proportions, and they were dying by the droves. The children were being raised by the elders, but the elders were also dying of natural causes and of AIDS also. But then he came back to the sociological portion of it, where you have these kids whose grandparents are dying, parents are dying or dead. Who's going to raise the children? Who's going to raise the children? It's going to be a continent of teenagers. Something had to be done. I couldn't watch the pictures on the television anymore. I couldn't just send money impersonally, and I know that the money does make a difference. I don't question that, but there needed to be more of a human touch to global citizenship than what we were affording ourselves. And I took a chance, spoke to some teachers, a few students, parents, And it has blossomed into this project.
In order to be successful, Diane knew she needed to find someone who could teach her about Africa, someone who had the same dream, but lived in Mbura. That person is Emile.
When I was first contacted by Canada, I was curious. Why would a Canadian high school be interested in us? After a few emails, I realized that they were curious too. They ask so many questions. It's the Canadian way, I'm told. And so I tried to answer their questions and ask a few of my own. Soon I became proud. They had chosen us because without knowing, we were sharing the same dream.
Emile is a mentor, and he's a philosopher, and he's very much a spiritual man. And I can't wait to meet him. One of our students, her uncle was a representative in the UN in Paris for many, many years, and he's retired. And his work took him through Senegal, and he had heard about PAFPEC, this organization that Emile is a part of, and thought that we would be a good match.
We always said at the beginning that it was about the one-to-one contact with the people of Africa. And finally, it's here. It's here. I have it. Good luck. Come and get them. Read your letter.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Hassan Diallo. Je suis élève de...
Students have their own committees. They have about 8 committees focusing on different things. Parents have one committee. The teachers have one committee. And the students are 15, 16 right now. They're a little young for some of the administrative stuff that has to be done. So at this point, we're taking care of it. But everything that we do, we always, and we just don't tell the students. It has to be approved by the students. The money has been slow in coming, but we're surviving, and we're surviving our present commitment to the African community, and we'll continue to fundraise and accept the generosity of people.
With some of the money they've already raised, the students have begun finding ways of helping kickstart Mbura's economy.
Emile in Mbura in Senegal. He sent a picture of this incubator over here and asked if we could do something to help them find one or something like it. So I looked, tried to find one, and we found one in France and had it mailed to Mbura, and I think they've got it. They've got it now, yeah. So hopefully that's going to help them out with their economy and getting some food.
If we just went to Africa, it wouldn't be the same, but like the letters, and I know that all the little things that we're going to get back from them, like when the egg incubator starts to like work and like help them out, like that'll be a little thing. Like all the little things along the way will for sure, like we're not even thinking about the trip right now.
Math class, you learn how to add and all that stuff, but I don't know. I think it's like I've become a lot closer with a lot of these people here that I wouldn't like normally, go talk to or whatever, but like we're getting closer, and I think that helps a lot. Like you have to be like a team when you're doing something like this, and you can't just go out on your own and do it.
Throughout the project, there's been little things that have like bothered some people, and some people don't feel like they're involved enough, but really like it all gets worked out just because we know that we're still working to this common interest, and like we just have to make it work. Even if something little gets in the way, like we have to move past it.
I'm really a lot more hopeful now. And I can see that there is a solution. It just takes a lot of people to work together, but there is a solution and it can happen. And it's just so good to see people getting involved.
It's a project of two folds. There's two groups that we're concerned with, our students and the Africa. Most of the money is obviously for Africa, But in order for us to be prepared for Africa, in our hearts and in our minds, we need to do some work.
We hope you enjoy the meal.
Everybody down! On the ground! All of you down! Back down! Take off your backpack!
One of the first things that the kids mentioned that they wanted or needed was to feel the burn. So how do I make them understand, how do we understand what it means to live in a country where it's not secure? This is not Umbour. Umbour is not a refugee camp. But Umbour's, their relatives came from other places. And this is, I guess this was where most of Umbour originated from. So they need to understand this, to see it firsthand, to meet some refugees who have gone through this experience and feel the burn.
Before you can act, you obviously have to learn. And all this learning is really, really helping us to just understand people better.
After going through this, like, your little petty problems don't seem that bad at all anymore. Like, I don't know, it's like, oh man, I have to hand in this project next week or something, you know, like stressing out, but these people are like, can I get it through the day alive type of thing, and it's like stuff that you, I don't know, you just take for granted, like everything, and when you go through this, you kind of realize that.
The uniqueness of this project, combined with how it's being administered, has earned the group UNESCO status. They are one of only 4 schools in Canada to be recognized for their international efforts. Their project has also been recognized in the Manitoba legislature by MLA Teresa Oswald and caught the attention of former International Affairs Minister Lloyd Axworthy.
Probably 15 and 16-year-olds who are going to help change this world. I think they understand maybe more than anybody that we're living in a world that's all connected, that boundaries and frontiers and divisions don't work. I mean, they're the internet generation, if you like, and I think this particular group at the school have started to learn about that and to put it into action, which I think is really pretty inspiring.
I have many dreams for my community. I want them to be freed by literacy, to know that they are part of a large mission and that the world awaits their contribution. I want them to be freed of health issues that limit our everyday, our every breath. But most of all, I want them to be freed from the weight of despair, self-doubt, and loss.
I think the problem with the kids is something I call affluenza, the disease of affluence, where you have so much on the outside that you feel a hollow echo inside, and that echo calls you to do something and you don't know how to place it. There's no place to exhibit it, or there's not the knowledge to do it. And with the affluenza, we see kids who have eating disorders, takes huge risks in all sorts of different kinds of experimental behavior. We see them, they're cutters, drug takers, experiments with alcohol, being disillusioned with school and being very dependent on us to steer their learning rather than going out and learning themselves. It's not that they are rotten kids, quite opposite, but they're troubled kids.
I really feel like my purpose in life is to help other people.
This project definitely means a lot on so many levels, and I think it's I just hope I get as much out of it as and put enough into it, you know?
It affects every facet of your life, every part that always has something to do with Africa. Yeah, you'll be doing something, you'll think, oh, well, if I was in Senegal, I couldn't do this, or yeah, it really makes you think about everything that goes on in your life every day.
You think about it every day?
Yeah, every day, always.
One of the things we didn't do enough in our first year was to take care of filling up kids' hearts. We got too busy with the business of fundraising and too busy with the business of just organizing and staying alive, which is not something that kids are really interested in and doesn't engage them. It doesn't engage them like something like this weekend. We should have had this a long time ago. And the kids realize that. They've voiced it. So the focus of our next year will be always to find ways to support Africa, but we're going to be doing it differently.
You know, we've gone through challenges, like trying to get everybody on the same page and in the same depth and involved in all the projects. So there's been ups and downs and the feedback and stuff like that.
There's easier ways of doing this entire event, of taking the students to Senegal, but Diane has decided to take more of a grassroots approach. She's found a way to make it much more fulfilling for the students and the teachers alike.
It's a big commitment, but I think it's worth it.
An easy way out is to sit back and write the check, you know, or to read a book and write a letter. But this was sort of a way to put, you know, thoughts and words into action.
When they come to Mbo, they may first see the poverty and the struggle, but when they leave, they know they have witnessed courage and hope in action.
I've always had a dream that I'm a reoccurring dream that I'm under a tree. I didn't know at the time when I was dreaming it. The tree is an arcana tree of Africa. And I see myself sitting under that tree in a big hat. And there are children around me, and we're reading. And I suspect that's what I'll probably be doing in retirement. I have been profoundly changed. And you can't help but be. This project has given me a renewed breath in education, where it has reaffirmed what I already knew, that given the opportunity, students will see, for too long as a young teacher, I taught content. And then as I got, just like English, and here's a novel, and there's Shakespeare, and, you know, it's Hamlet, and here's a soliloquy. After a while, I recognized that it wasn't content, but the process. It was how they learned and not what they learned. And it took 26 years to figure out that the process of education, there is content and there is process, but that the most important thing is the empowerment of the child, that they have all within them to do what they need to do in life, to make themselves successful and to be good people with others, you know, to be able to be good global citizens. And given that opportunity, it can happen. And it happens naturally. And I don't want the cliche of the, you know, blossoming flower, but it really is that. It's like the opening of the soul of the student. Give them the opportunity, give them love and wisdom, empower them, and then fall back and allow them to take off and to do it on their own terms. And that's true education. It's education of the spirit of the heart.
Kumbour is it's a song that I haven't learned how to sing yet, you know? I don't know the words yet to describe Kumbour.
We don't really talk about the trip because, like, that's not our goal. Like, we don't want to be like, this project is about the trip, because it isn't. It's about them, and we're going to help them before we want to do things for ourselves.
When you, like, read the emails Madame's getting from Mbour, about all the things that we've done and how it's helped them so much, and they're so grateful. it's really great to hear stuff like that. And then we learned Wolof and drumming and stuff. It's the head knowledge, but yeah, the stuff that hits the heart is definitely, it's better to hear.
When we arrive in Umbur, we're going to get off the stop before. I think it's a train that brings us to Umbur. We're going to get off the stop before, and we're going to walk the last, let's say 5-10 kilometers, and we're going to walk it alone together on the road, and we're going to walk into Umbur. We've seen Umbur on the internet. It's this long street. That's what it is. It's just this long street. The villages are much further. It just follows the ocean. And they know that we're coming, or that we'll eventually get there. But we will walk to Umbur together and meet up. And hopefully I'll get them to walk and meet us halfway. And that'll be the most powerful of meetings, I would imagine.
And then we bring them, partners together, to look each other in the eye, to share a meal, to celebrate in song and dance. All this to know that we are not alone, that we are of the same dream, seeking to live an honorable and purposeful lives. Let us continue the work. We look forward to your arrival to our home in 2007. Your friend, Emile.